Preach the truth.
Yeah, you came at the right time because we're about to transition to talk about AOC statements about
Jesus.
yeah. So
Jesus. Bro, we're very, very interested in getting people's take on the direction of the left. Like, we're gonna have, so for anyone who's watching, we're gonna have Justin Jackson and Jordan Cheriton on Tuesday. So we're having a special episode back to back, my boy CJ. And you got what kind of guests do you guys have going on this week? My point was that I want to get a lot of people take on this kind of stuff because this was a gut punch. Even if you are being critical of AOC and the squad from day one, I don't think this is. I honestly don't think this is I don't think it's something that we should be like celebrating as I told you so, because it's legitimately depressing when you have. I know friends who.
Oh no, we should be saying we told you so. We told you, motherfuckers.
So. You're right.
No, don't let these motherfuckers off the hook. Crush these motherfuckers and let them know who's boss.
I mean, what I'm saying is, I think this is like not a good thing, because it's not good to have people who. I guess it's the natural conclusion that people should make in the first place. And now you have a lot of people who's invested in electoral politics who are not going to make that same mistake again. We're gonna have my good friend of the show, Sky Daddy, and the lady. She went viral on Twitter. I think her name is Red as Ari on Twitter. She was breaking down how Trump supporters pretty much just pushing wide. She had a viral. I'm not gonna butcher what she was saying. I'm gonna play her clip probably a little bit later on one of my shows. But we're gonna discuss people who still invest in electoral politics. And there are a lot of people I see that was really engaged who kind of like said fuck it now. I'll pass it to RJ though, because I know you transition a little bit more into the story.
Yeah, so I got the actual video footage of AOC, so I can play that for our viewers. Hopefully this really works. You guys can hear this, right?
One thing that I will say is that
I can hear it.
I think that Biden administration and President Biden has definitely exceeded expectations that progressives had. I'll be frank. I think
if you're watching, let us know if you can hear it. Okay?
A much more conservative administration, and I think that his not only what has ultimately come out, but the active invitation and willingness and collaboration with progressives in his first 100 days, or almost 100 days, has been very impressive. And so while there are there are areas where there are just plain areas of disagreement, I think that the actual conduct of the administration has absolutely been in good faith, but not just in good faith, but active incorporation of progressive legislation, and also for those of us individually. I can at least say that there has been a lot of openness and willingness and flexibility in incorporating many of our goals, requests, demands, etc. And I think that it has been to the benefit of the country.
Okay, so that was her statement. On my end, it was kind of fuzzy, like the audio was kind of.
At least the people that watch it said they can hear it. Sorry if it wasn't the best quality, but hopefully you guys kind of picked up what she was saying at least.
Okay. It was very clear on my end, so
okay.
It was.
Oh, it must have been double on my end because I was playing. Okay, well that's fine. JB, what's your thoughts? And we'll get Nick, and then I'll go last.
He did not exceed my expectation. For her to say that means that there is a disconnect in her thought process, which means that to transition to professional managerial class is complete. It means that because she's now affluent, she has migrated to a certain subset of society that views people like Joe Biden as Uncle Joe licking the ice cream with the aviator glasses on, as my friend RJ says so eloquently. So the fact that she is giving this praise to Biden for doing not even the floor, but the basement. If you took 2018 AOC, who just won her election, and showed her this AOC, she'd be like, who in the hell is this woman? And this is what we're saying. Who in the hell is this woman? Because this is not the person that a lot of us were fired up at seeing when she first was elected. So the thing is number one, I'm not impressed with $1,400 checks that should have been $2,000 that were given to the people as survival checks, and it should have been regular checks that have been given for the duration of the crisis. I am not impressed with the fact that not only are we not getting a $15 minimum wage, but we also do not have Medicare for all during a pandemic. By the way, Joe Biden himself said he would veto Medicare for all when he was speaking with Lawrence O'Donnell on The Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell on MSNBC. So he said that. Quote me. Go research it. He said it. He's not doing an infrastructure bill that is sufficient enough to take care of the crisis at hand. The $2.5 trillion infrastructure package that he wants to do, number one, is less than even what he said he wanted to do. It's lower than Joe Manchin said that he wanted. And on top of it, it is insufficient compared to what experts say that we should have. In fact, experts say that we should have between $7 to $10 trillion infrastructure package in order to adequately tackle the crisis that we have at hand as far as our infrastructure. Bernie Sanders wanted to do $16 trillion for the Green New Deal, by the way, which is actually a watered down version of the Green New Deal. So guess what? Everything that Biden has did was wholly inadequate. So therefore, for her to say that she exceeded our expectations as progressives, number one, means she's talking about somebody else. She's not talking about us. Because as far as we're concerned, to us, she doesn't even see us as progressive anymore. Because if she did, she wouldn't have said that. To us, we're the far left now. She doesn't even identify with us anymore. So that's scary. So that tells you everything that you need to know, that she has now become a standard issue Democrat. And it's over. She would have to do some major redemption, of herself in order for the left to look at her and go, oh yeah, you're still on the left. Not right now.
So I'm gonna see if I can pull this up here. Mm-hmm. I think this is pretty good to share before I give my take on it and to kind of give you guys an idea what I'm discussing here. Mm-hmm. Our boy, friend of the show, Ryan, I tweeted this out. My man Ryan, he's a soldier. He'd be going to war with a lot of these progressives who are trying to shift the Overton window to the right. And that's what they're doing, guys. Hope you guys understand that. So when you hear, or when you don't hear, actually, AOC, the progressive politicians, speak about Julian Assange, Syria bombings, the fact that we still put sanctions on as starving Africans and South Americans. And when you see the policies that Joe Biden is continuing right now, which Chomsky himself, which they conveniently quote when he says something they agree with, but Chomsky said his foreign policy is just like Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. Anyway, let me get to the AOC video. But let's check this out, and this kind of explains what my criticism of her is right now. Ryan said I would like to file a missing person report. Check this out. The basis of the video is AOC lays out. It's a great clip. This is around time. This is a clip I always saw back then, and that would confirm my position on it. Back when I used to really like AOC and the squad, because she accurately describes how the Democratic Party is not a left party. She says the Democratic Party is a center or a conservative party. And you can't have any sympathy for a Democratic Party because this is what she said in that clip. That's what I wanted to show. She said, we can't even get a floor vote for Medicare for all. So back then, getting a floor vote for Medicare for all was a big deal. It was important. That was a 2019 DSA strategy. They said we need to get more progressive politicians in because once we have thin margins, once we defeat Donald Trump, we can force floor votes. And she said that in that clip right there.
Wow.
And now those same people who are anti-force to vote are pretending that she never said that. They are pretending. My friend Zoya from 10 to Man, she accurately tweeted out. She's really, really underrated, amazing activist. She tweeted the DSA fucking strategy that they had. They said one of the main strategies they want to do is force as many votes on progressive policies as possible. Medicare for all being the key one, and that's what AOC said right there. So what changed? Nancy Pelosi got her ass. Nancy Pelosi set her to the side, and it's embarrassing that she clipped and defamed Justice Democrats the way they have. Now, they went from a movement that was supposed to be the biggest threat to the Democratic Party establishment. They went to that, and now she's the best PR and weapon that the Democratic Party can ask for. So the video that RJ showed, and the video where she was saying and apologizing for Joe Biden. Let me ask you guys this. Why did she do that? Like, why she's being forced to go out and make these videos? She's being forced to defend Joe Biden. So her role in the Democratic Party right now is the popular face that cleans up the image of the party. So there was this poll, and I reported out. I didn't have a big platform, but it was around 2017, around the time Hillary lost and Democrats was embarrassed. I'm gonna see. I'll pull it up on the screen too. It said millennials are leaving the Democratic Party in droves. This is from Reuters in 2017. I'll pull it up here very soon. So the Democratic Party was bleeding support from young people. And now AOC, Bernie Sanders, and the squad, because they're massively popular, are now saying that Joe Biden is doing a great job, despite the fact that he lied about every significant policy, and he's complicit with U.S. imperialism and the police state that is ruining communities. He's complicit with the global vaccine eugenic program that's going on. Even it's so bad that you have Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren came out and say, all right, this is too much. You guys got to open up these patents from international states. Either way, I digress. The point is, you have someone who's horrible like Joe Biden, but Bernie Sanders and AOC and squad, like, you know what? He's more progressive than I thought he was going to be. Despite the fact he's not even providing health care to his people in the middle of a pandemic. He can't even provide his constituents with a living wage. These are key issues that we had with Justice that we raised as Justice Democrats in 2016, 2017. Find money in politics, find corruption. Why is that not a big deal no more? Because they shifted a lot of progressives to the right. Because by AOC saying that Biden is doing a good job, and by her not speaking about the Syria bombing and many other things, she's trying to train her followers not to care about that stuff. And a lot of them don't. Because how many shit libs you see on Twitter so far that say, oh, actually, Biden, I thought he was going to be bad, but he's actually really good. I'm like, what? And people wonder why I spend all my time attacking Democrats on Twitter. Why would I spend my time attacking Republicans in the right wing when Joe Biden and the neoliberal corporate establishment has a propaganda program that makes them untouchable? Joe Biden lost 4 presidential campaigns, and he was embarrassed every single time he ran. He ran this time, the media establishment decided to get behind him, and he was one of the strongest electoral juggernauts of all time. He defeated one of the biggest grassroots movements. I know he cheated, but going by the rules, he still defeated Bernie Sanders, and he defeated Trump and MAGA. So he was a failed candidate 3 times, but they turned him to an amazing juggernaut. And now we got progressives that helping him doing that. Well, how crazy is that? So that's why we got called this out, and that's why we can't let this shit stand. We can't let people fucking rewrite history. You know he has like a 60% approval rating among young people. I was planning on covering this story with Jordan and Justin Jackson. We still will. But I'm looking at a lot of these new stories, and people are being misled because there's all these corporate stories like Joe Biden, the next FDR. He's doing like we are the most propagandized country. Like it's been insane these last few weeks watching all the media and watching everyone who can be reached by the Democratic Party pretty much be active PR for Biden when he's governing just like Trump. I'll talk back to RJ though. That's my initial thoughts now.
So I'm gonna add I'm just gonna comment on 3 pieces you just mentioned. So about the AOC PR, people and according to the DSA handbook, I'm in the DSA, whatever. So even back then, they had this plan about how to force type of legislations on the floor, vis-a-vis using the Democratic Party as a vessel. But the problem that people had was a certain guy who's proud liberal or proud socialist, but now is Ryan Knight, and also Jimmy Dore. So people really hate these two figures passionately if you're in DSA or on the left so much that you're willing to ignore the actual argument and just go after them and then want to kill the entire thing so you can laugh about it. So that's also an issue that I find. And about the AOC PR, she's basically being used by the Democrats to make themselves look bigger and better. The mistake the Democrats made in 2016, even with killing Bernie, is that he became even more popular when they killed him. See, that's the problem. So they didn't co-opt him enough. Like they tried this whole unity tour bullshit with like Tom Perez, who was the former DNC chairman. They used to parade Bernie out there like, hey, look at Democrats, we're together, unity. That was bullshit. It didn't work. Bernie looked pissed the entire time, but they made him do it. And another point about is millennials leaving the Democratic Party. I mean, even in 2017, like even before me, I was like, okay, I'm kind of done with the Democrats. They're not powerful. They don't do anything. They laugh, they smile. They always say they don't have power, even when they're in power. So that's why millennials started to leave, because people were starting to realize that, hey, they're just the same as the Republicans. They just play the culture war better, So I think it really exposed that even this summer with like, okay, the NBA boycotts. Wow, the black NBA players, they're finally standing in solidarity. They about to do this thing with us. They even recognize how fucked this shit up is. And Barack Obama, like clockwork, he and me and JB spoke about this earlier when we just started the show about the difference between the culture wars. The Trump culture war, I'll reiterate, the Trump culture war is throwing gasoline on the embers of a flame and then it ignites. How Obama uses the culture war is if there's a fire already there, he just pours water on it and gets rid of the flames entirely. So like when the Flint water crisis was a big thing, Obama comes in, pretty-faced black man, charming and handsome, Barry Obama sing Amazing Grace in front of all the black people, and then everybody goes to sleep. And it's not it's either they feel contempt because the cultural side, or they get depressed because when it's against a rich old white man, we as black folks, we get pissed. All the black community gets pissed, but when it's your own, you get sad, so you lay down. And why does this make sense about the millennials? Well, the millennials, we're young, so we don't have that type of experience and a type of longitude about how to go around. So we want everything fast. Like even I struggle with this sometimes about wanting fast change. And like I hate saying like, oh, it takes time, because I say that's bullshit. You do at the time you have. But I feel like the manufacturing consent, the AOC and some of these other progressives are trying to do to keep millennials in the Democratic Party is pretty disgusting. And it's not just AOC. The problem with AOC is she doesn't shut the fuck up. She's always talking. All the other ones, yes, they talk too, but it's either through a proxy, it's through an article, or they stay off Twitter. It's amazing how AOC has allowed herself to be the spokesperson of the House Progressive Caucus. At first it was Mark Pocan, then it was Pramila Jayapal.
And for Joe Biden. Sorry to cut you off, RJ, but they rolling her out there just to cover for Joe Biden just because she's super popular. But go ahead. I just want to add that. Yeah,
and one more point, and then I'll swing it back to JB. Nick talked about the media as well, and let's just get this straight. Nobody fucking like Joe Biden. Like even the media at first was like, "Look, Joe, you had your time. Just drop out, man. You got 6% of the vote." But then as soon as Bernie got popular, Joe, you don't have to win. Just stay alive. Just stay alive.
Even Obama was throwing low-key shades at him back then. He was like, there was a story that released when he like, you can never discount Joe. I'm fucking something up. But he stopped saying stuff like that when it was Bernie versus Biden. And that's why he didn't come out and endorse Biden. And there was a lot of examples of him throwing like sneaky jabs at like Biden in his campaign. I thought that was weird. I didn't know why he would do that. I was like,
because
but
Joe
go ahead,
Biden,
back to you.
Because Joe Biden was starting to become more popular. See, Obama's a narcissist. It explains too why when Keith Ellison was running for the DNC chairmanship, but in 2016 he picked the tool Tom Perez, because Tom Perez is a fucking tool. He does what he says. He says nothing fucking interesting. He's a yes man. Keith Ellison, he was saying some progressive shit back then. Regardless of you think of his politics, in 2016 when he was running for DNC chairmanship, he sounded progressive. Obama hated that because one, he sounded progressive and he was black. We already have a top Negro in the Democratic Party. That's Obama. So he couldn't have that shit. So that's why they tossed Keith Ellison to the curb. But in general about the media itself is that Joe Biden in multiple primary states didn't have a single campaign office in the entire state. Bernie Sanders had tons of campaign offices in California and many of these primary states. Joe Biden just used mainstream media the same way Trump did in 2016. And the media in 2016, they were idiots. They just played Trump's empty podium. They all thought Trump was a joke, but gave him free media coverage. This time around, they said, oh, if we could swing an election by accident, we could damn sure do it on purpose. So that's why on purpose, they were full on drinking the juice, manufacturing consent like crazy. It's Biden or bust. You're a Russian if you don't vote for Biden. You're a dumb idiot American if you don't vote for Biden. Vote for Biden. Vote for Uncle Joe. And that's
you're
what
not
they were
black
trying to
if
do.
you don't vote for Biden.
Oh yeah, if you're not black, you don't vote for Biden. So all those three factors is the reason why the left is struggling. And we have our allies on the left, like like these politicians. I'm beyond them saying that. Oh, like I even say all the time that they're permissionary parliamentarian types, meaning that they only react unless they get permission from the establishment, and they believe in influx of more progressives to gain power. I'm not even there anymore. Like I'm really at the stroke of saying that they're bad faith actors. At first I was harping against that, but now I'm saying it because they're really pretending like their way is the best way. And we're like, look, we're giving you all the strategies. We're giving you the best advice. Quit being fucking idiots. And at some point, you got to stop giving money to these motherfuckers. You know, if you're giving their money to them and they're fucking you over, you're a cuck. That's what makes you a cuck. So we leftists have got to stop cucking ourselves. You know, so there's bullshitters, there's cucks, and there's cunts. Bernie is starting to get to Bernie, AOC, some of these other progressives, they're getting cunt status. We are so done with these motherfuckers. I'm just done. And so at this point, we as leftists, we have to work with our communities, grassroots organizations, because these politicians, until we put the fear of God in them, nothing will happen. Yeah.
At this point, some of us are going, what the cuck? So that was my corny joke for the day. Thank you. But I have
laugh, but I have smoke in my lungs. I couldn't laugh. I'm like, damn, I see you, bro.
Yeah. But so all the people who are now making excuses for what AOC said about Joe Biden exceeding expectation, I want to talk to you for a second. Come here. Closer. I'm going to tell you something that you're not going to like, but you need to hear. You've been sheep herded into the Democratic Party.
You were pushed to the right. You don't even know it.
You were pushed to the right, and you were your consent was manufactured.
Hey, JB, there are people right now. Hey, JB, there are people right now that there are people that say they're progressives who are like, Joe Biden's actually been he actually hasn't been that bad. There are people that actually saying that with a straight face. This dude legally bombing countries. He's funding a genocide. Oh, he is attacking the free press. And you got progressives like, I'm actually pretty surprised at Joe Biden right now. What? I heard Biden may come up with tax cuts. That's kind of a rumor I heard about tax cuts coming. So
hang on, just let me do this long pause.
Oh, go ahead. I'll believe it when that shit passes. The funny thing is, these same progressives, they was like, Joe Biden, he reversed the Keystone XL pipeline, all this stuff, and then a few days later, they're like, they actually didn't do that. Like, they would announce something and then they won't follow through. The progressive would praise them and then they don't correct themselves. So another example of this, I'll pass it right back to JB, is when they said they were going to pull out of the Afghanistan war. And now you had a lot of people who was praising Joe Biden, like, I can't believe you're actually doing that. And what we say when we was talking to Robert Cobb, I said, no, you motherfuckers need to start repeating like the PR press releases that they come out with, because they are keeping all the private contractors.
Yeah.
So they're not pulling out Afghanistan. But sorry, go ahead, JB. I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, I'm still not done with you. You the ones who said that you're still with AOC after that comment. You've been played. You've been had. You've been taken for a ride. You've been bamboozled. It's time to wake up and smell the roses, guys. Listen. Okay. She's saying that he exceeded her expectations. She's speaking of Biden as if Bernie suddenly went into Biden's body and is doing actual progressive policies. Guess what? It's not happening. Wake up. Okay? So let me tell you something. Okay? Nothing is going to happen at the hands of the politicians. Real change never happens at the hands of the politicians. It only happens at the hands of the people. And the thing is that unfortunately, because those of us who we saw Bernie because we were desperate for somebody who actually understood us. And when that person actually came around, we were like, yes, finally. But then it got to a point where we start to see him as a savior. We saw Bernie Sanders as the Moses, and then we saw AOC as the Joshua. And that's the issue that we're facing right now, because you still have people who see AOC as a false Joshua, and now they're going, oh, well, we still have to follow her this direction. And we see her as somebody false, and we're like, no. Don't do that. Because the thing is that, yeah, Bernie got us close to the promised land, but Bernie's not going to get there. And guess what? AOC is not the person that we need to follow. We need to follow ourselves. And the thing is that unfortunately,
educate each other.
Yeah. And the thing is that we can't be we cannot keep standing these people, because we have to recognize that politicians are a means to an end. They are there just to be sympathetic to our cause, so that when we make our demands, they'll be the easiest to say, okay, I'll do it. But it's really the people who have to push for this is us.